She spent over 20 years as a successful realtor and realtor coach, recipient of over 40 sales, leadership, and literary awards from the legendary Music Row in Nashville. This is The Power of Real Estate with Michelle Moore.
All right, so we got a great show for you today. Of course, we always have a great show. You know, I never start the show. Have you ever noticed, Producer Jimmy? I never say, hey, so today's going to be a okay show.
No, that's because you're over positive.
I'm not over positive. That would be saying I've got a great show and it sucks.
You're always happy. How about that?
That's true. I am happy. I'm a happy person. All right, so I'm excited today. We've got agent Kathy Carter. She's a real estate agent here in the Nashville, Tennessee area. I asked her to come in and share. She had some great wisdom about an interesting designation that is available throughout the country. Kathy, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
Well, I'm always good. You know me. But what about this designation? Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so the designation is the RCS-D, which stands for Real Estate Specialist. So I don't know, I'm mixing it all up. It's Real Estate Collaborative Specialist Divorce. So it's really focused around the divorce designation and people with their homes and what they really need to consider if they are looking at going through a divorce and have a home.
So real estate and divorce, how do they kind of go together? So that makes sense, perfectly makes sense. I love the story that you shared with me before, and we've talked about this before, that, you know, you've got this whole time that you were licensed, and I think so many agents can relate to this where, you know, you've been doing real estate and everything makes sense, everything's good, and you go to this class and you realize, like, oh my goodness, there's this whole area of real estate that I didn't realize. And I think most real estate agents would probably think this when they find out that when they go into the class like this, start finding out how real estate and divorce really go hand in hand, but really in reality, they operate completely as two separate entities. And so your divorce attorneys aren't talking to your title attorneys or real estate attorneys.
That's right. You know, I sat in that class. I mean, as you know, after 20 years now in real estate, I was probably in real estate 10 years and a top producing agent at the time that I took this particular class. And I literally sat there with my mouth on the floor, as I've told you before. The things that I learned in that class or that were brought up that I had really never thought about educating my clients on through a process of divorce and real estate and their home. And I was blown away. And I came out of that class thinking we have got to educate people on this.
So good. Yes. Yeah, it make a difference. And that's why we're doing this today, because every real estate agent, I think, needs to know this information, you know, because I think it's business changing.
Yes, it is.
All right.
Sure.
Share about how people typically come up with value.
Yeah. So in the typical world, I mean, even if they're dealing with a divorce attorney or a mediator, I mean, typically what they will do, what they will be told to do, if somebody is trying to determine what the value of the house is just get an appraisal. Like, get an appraisal, we'll take, you know, the mortgage, deduct it, and the difference is the equity that we're going to be discussing and how to divide that along with the other assets. But there are so many things that go into that equity position, which is really what a lot of that class is about, and what, quite honestly, I'm passionate about teaching people, because some of the things that were talked about in there are not things that, as realtors even, let alone divorce attorneys and title people and mediators, ever think about educating their clients about.
That's good. Well, and they're not going to do it if they don't know to.
They don't. I mean, that's what I, say to people all the time. Look, at that point, I was full-time real estate, top agent, many awards, all these things. And it's my day in, day out profession. And there were things that I never thought about educating my clients on. So I know a real estate attorney or mediator, although they're awesome in what they do, their day in, day out world is not real estate, right? So I know that there are many times that their divorce attorneys and or mediators aren't really educating them on this process either, and so one of the things that came out of there is having a title search on your home. I think there's really three things that we can really discuss, and one of them is having a title search. So there was so many case studies. It was a Harvard attorney that was teaching this, and a Vanderbilt graduate. She was actually a Vanderbilt graduate and also, had been at Harvard. One of the things that in so many case studies that she had is they are never told to do a title search. So what if one of the spouses took a home equity line of credit out? And that did not come up through discussions. Many times, sadly, divorces are not a happy thing, obviously, and not
Might
amicable.
Be some communication breakdowns.
Yeah, not amicable a lot.
Like, dear, I took a $45,000
home equity line of credit out. Right. And I just forgot to tell you and our mediator here, about that. But, if that's not told and not done through discovery and nobody's done a title search, then surprises like that happen. And one of the things that we were taught through that class is once the divorce is done, it's done. It's not like you can go back and say, well, they didn't disclose this, because you have due diligence through their process of things that you should be, doing. That was one of the things. And there were many things around why it was important to do a title search and why, you need to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And I always say, too, not all surprises are good.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So that'd be a bad surprise if you didn't know that somebody had, your spouse had taken out some kind of a loan or a mortgage or whatever, home equity line. So, all right. So I know you've got a tip for us today, kind of a takeaway. So somebody who goes, and is that your tip for today, is about getting that title search?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the tips. I mean, there are definitely
more, but today
but
I knew you were bringing a takeaway.
Yep.
So make sure you get that title search done so you make sure there's nothing else that's going on that you're not aware of before you start signing divorce papers and saying, hey, a deal's a deal. And because you make a great point, I've never thought about this. When a couple gets divorced, at the end of the day, like you said, once those papers are signed, a deal's a deal. It's done.
That's right.
And so there's no going back and amending it. And especially, why would the other spouse want to or agree to amend it?
That's right.
You're really at risk there. So such great information. Realtor Kathy Carter, I appreciate you coming in and sharing this valuable information with our listeners. And we're going to do another show. The next episode will also be sharing a couple of more takeaways. So if you're like, oh my goodness, my mouth is on the floor, I can't believe this, I had no idea, Kathy's talking about something I've never thought about, make sure to tune in on the next episode as well. And by the way, if you haven't gotten a free copy of Selling Simplified, make sure you go to realestatecoachingsimplified.com. Make sure that you sign up, and we'll send you a free copy. All you got to pay for is the $4.95 for the shipping and handling. And make sure you never miss an episode of the podcast. You can subscribe through iTunes if you have an iPhone, or you can also, if you have an Android, go to Google Play. Also, iHeartRadio. That app has it as well, has the show. So we'll look forward to seeing you next time. And this is The Power of Real Estate with Michelle Moore.
Realtors, if you're ready for the latest tools, scripts, and techniques, visit realestatecoachingsimplified.com. We'll see you next time on The Power of Real Estate with Michelle Moore.